Well, among those organizing to block the Kerry Lieberman bill, environmentalists against nuclear power. Environmentalists are split over whether nuclear is needed to fight climate change or is a failed technology. At issue, any federal help in building new plants, like the loan guarantees already promised to Southern companies Vogtle. But it takes a lot more than loan guarantees to build a project like Vogtle. Margaret Ryan reports.
In the late 1970s, it seemed if anything could go wrong for nuclear plants, it did. The OPEC oil embargoes skewered the economy, shutting down the heavy industry that dozens of nuclear plants were being built to supply. Inflation ravaged heavy construction budgets, making a fiction of everyone's projections. And then in 1979,
an accident in the water cooling system at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant.
3 Mile Island melted down. NRC issued a blizzard of new requirements, and energized nuclear opponents renewed their battles to stop half-built plants. Vogtle 1 and 2 were built smack in the middle of this chaos, and their costs with financing eventually went north of $9 billion, more than 10 times original estimates. Now, Southern's Georgia Power Unit and partners Oglethorpe Power, Municipal Electric Authority of Georgia, or MEAG, and the City of Dalton are building 2 new reactors, and the estimate is $14 billion and maybe more.
Costs are a significant part of the process and what we're going to have to manage between now and 2016 and 2017.
Southern's share alone equals about a quarter of the company's total market capitalization. With so much on the line, what makes Southern Company officials think this time they can keep the project on time and budget? One reason:
when Vogtle 1 and 2 were built, it was a 2-step process where the NRC gave us a construction license to authorize beginning of construction, but the operating license didn't come until the end of the construction process. So all of the safety issues were being resolved while the units were being built.
The new process is a single license. It isn't issued till the nuclear design is certified, and it also authorizes operating the plant as long as it's built to NRC standards.
We have negotiated a different regulatory process with NRC this time. The idea is that we will actually certify the design and answer all of the questions about the integrity of the design on the front end. Once I get a construction and operating license, then by definition, I can build the plant and operate it.
Another reason for confidence: buy-in from the state of Georgia, which has reviewed and okayed Southern's choices every step of the way.
We looked at the cost efficiency of nuclear and was it the right way to go for Georgia Power, for Georgians.
Georgia agreed to have ratepayers help build Vogtle. The legislature approved collection of construction work in progress, or CWIP, starting in 2011.
The good news about construction work in progress is that if we start paying for it today, before the plant's actually in place, the ratepayers in our state have the opportunity to benefit by over $300 million in financing cost and savings.
But that savings still leaves billions to be paid for. How are the Vogtle partners raising that kind of money? Key has been the Obama administration's decision to issue its first federal loan guarantees for nuclear to Vogtle. That's letting the partners finance up to $8.33 billion through the Federal Financing Bank.
The effect of the DOE's loan guarantees is significant. It's something that we expected, something that we counted on.
We estimate that it's going to save our customers $15 to $20 million a year in lower borrowing costs.
Federal loan guarantees only cover 70% of the project, not counting financing costs. For the rest, Southern Company is issuing corporate debt to cover the balance of Georgia Power's share. Oglethorpe Power will issue project bonds for its 30% share. MEAG is issuing $2.5 billion in Build America bonds and has a 20-year deal with utilities in Florida and Alabama to sell 2/3 of its Vogtle power allotment. The City of Dalton needs only $200 million and will pay that from ongoing revenues. Now, controlling costs means, at heart, keeping the project on schedule. Constructor Shaw and nuclear designer Westinghouse have equity in the project and share the risks of any overruns. One edge for Vogtle: the Westinghouse design is already being built at 2 sites in China.
Those units are anywhere from 18 months to 2 years ahead of our schedule. I personally was in China in December of last year, saw firsthand what they're doing, and the lessons learned are being incorporated into our design before we implement it here at Vogtle 3 and 4.
With modular construction, Westinghouse plans to go from first nuclear concrete to fuel load in 36 months and final test ready 12 months later. That timing lowers borrowing costs, but hasn't been done in the U.S. since the early 1970s. And with the nation still pulling out of a deep recession and credit tight, is this the time to go forward with such a costly and risky project?
We have to plan well in advance of the actual need of the asset. And remember, this is an asset that will come online in 2016, not next year, but 2016. So in order to meet that date, I have to continue to construct.
But Georgia regulators did hedge their bet.
They have to determine every 6 months whether the project is still in the best interest of our customers. If the Public Service Commission determined that it was no longer in the interest of the customers, then we would halt construction at that time.
Southern and its partners have sunk more than $1 billion already into the Vogtle construction project, and it's not even due to get its license from NRC until 2011. I'm Margaret Ryan, Clean Skies News.